Hello and welcome back to Echo. We are going to continue right after Flynn pretty much knocked out Chase, after Flynn found out what Chase did. So everybody actually knows now, actually. So let's see what happens. Oh my god, Flynn! Jenna's voice comes out muffled as I stagger back, grabbing my jaw. Ow! It feels like my brain is scraping the top of my skull. I just want to lay down and sleep. My knees go weak and I can feel myself teetering backwards as if in slow motion. For some reason, it's like I'm expecting a nice cool water to greet my backside. That tipping sensation sticks with me and I realize I'm not actually falling. Flynn! 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 Leo's shouts keep repeating, and each time it's quieter and more distorted than before. You hold your paw in front of your face, and you actually do it. You move. You didn't do that. The kids in front of you are just red blurs. I just want to lay down. Don't. There's a black and orange figure in front of you. Don't let the lizard hurt him again. You hear shouting, but not from inside. Outside. The blurred group isn't looking at you anymore. Get out. I don't care. I don't care anymore, you faggots. A crackling voice comes from outside. If I had to guess, it sounds like it's coming from down the block. Everyone but Flynn is peering out the small window near the door. The Gilla, however, is still staring at me. His eyes look like they're shaking in their sockets. Ooh, Lord, my Lord, good Lord. Oh, how you test me. I fall upon my knees and ask you where to go. What's going on? Carl tries to peer past the bulk of Leo to see where the commotion is coming from. My head is still reeling from Flynn's punch. He's never hit me before. Well, never seriously. He wasn't ever the sort to get physical. Growing up, usually he'd just stomp off and sulk if something truly upset him. But now, he doesn't look like he's budging. It's Clint. Who's he yelling at? God? Leo looks over his shoulder, peering at me. Are you okay, Otter? I feel the heavens call in every canyon's edge. Just past the overlook window. Or at the bottom of the water, all tied up with the kedge. I feel myself backing up. It's like how I felt on the roller coaster, strapped into the chain lift. What's happening to me? Chase? Flynn begins to follow. Flynn, you stay right there or I will beat your ass double hard, yeah? Leo, for God's sake, all of you stop. Where are you going? I make a sound. I think I say home, but it comes out rather garbled. You can't keep running away from this shit. TJ squints, his nose pressed against the window pane. He's holding something. Yeah. I keep stepping back, my legs feeling like they're vibrating. My movements are abrupt, jerky. I manage to get into the hallway and approach a door covered with caution tape. The placard denotes it as the reading room. I grasp the handle and have to give it a hard shove before it budges. The door is heavy. I'm nearly overwhelmed by the musty smell from inside. The corner of the room is completely stained from the rain damage and the roof is boarded up. There was an exit here, but it's gone now. Why do I know that? I stare at the little section of the wall where the old wooden door used to be. The small picture of a group of quails crossing a dried wash is in its place. As I move to leave, I notice the door won't open. It's hard stuck in place. Locked. A sharp crack rings out from somewhere outside, followed by the quick scurrying of feet upon the carpeted floor of the lobby. A gunshot. I try to open the door again more fervently, hoping that I'm just pulling a Carl here and pulling when I should be pushing. Still nothing. Fuck. More shots ring out, this time accompanied by a dull thud and the sound of stucco being shattered. Those hit the building. I get down on the floor, my heart's pounding. It still feels like I'm moving in slow motion, even with the adrenaline pumping through my veins. What the hell is wrong with me? I hear the front door open, followed by more scurrying upon the carpet. Why the hell are they running outside? I hear an engine start, then the splaying of gravel as what sounds like Leo's van drives off. They left me? Even Leo? I crawl on the floor, making my way towards the corner of the room. I pinch myself trying to snap out of the strange malaise. I can hear the occasional shout from out the street, but it's all gibberish now. Leaning back against the wall, I rub my throbbing temples. Tweakers. Couldn't have showed up at a better time. I try to listen to see if the shouting is getting closer, but it's difficult to tell. If that really is Clint, this is really out of character for him. He never really was the singing type. Screaming about faggots, yes, but singing? No. I look around and see like most of the old books and such have been taken off the shelves and put in assorted boxes to prevent water damage. Having lived here my whole life, I've never actually been inside of here. That feels like quite a feat, noting I've covered damn near every other square inch of this town. There's a few binders and booklets near my side, the titles like Colville Stormwater Drainage Plan, 1999, and Drought Resistance Plant Guide. Next to them, there's what looks like some kind of unopened canister of fumigation stuff. I reach down to grab it and I notice the fur on my arm. It's wriggling? A couple brown strands of fur seem to bounce back and forth, and I become consigned that my arm has been tingling for a while now. Glancing past my fingertips, I see this beige mass near the end of my foot. And that's when I see the legs. A blonde tarantula about an inch away from my tips of my toes. My throat closes in on itself before I can fully scream. I blink, writhing back. Next thing I know, it's on my chest. It moves faster than I've ever seen, its pittering legs feeling like they're all over me. I grab the edges of my shirt, trying to fling it off, but it's already on my neck. I slap at it, feeling the squish and hearing a very light clicking squeak. The edges of my neck begin to burn, and I pull back my paw to inspect my palm. There's no tarantula. Instead, I see the 8 razor-thin legs and black abdomen. On the bottom, there's a splotchy pigmentation of red, the number 8. My pulse quickens when I realize it's an hourglass. Black Widow. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. I look down at my arms again and realize it isn't just my fur moving. There are little red and black specks everywhere. No! I tear at my own shirt, jumping to my knees and trying to bat at the seemingly infinite number of spindly, fanged arachnids. Each time I bat at my arms, more of their guts cover my paw pads and fur until it feels like my paws are wet. It's not just my arms anymore, they're inside of my shirt, my shorts, my face. I try plugging my nose, keeping my muzzle shut as I roll on the floor, not daring to open my mouth to scream. I fling my shirt off, then pull off my shorts. I see the webbing of the nest I had sat upon in the fabric of my shorts, oodles of the babies and not-so-baby spiders crawling out. Naked, I manage to scramble to my feet and run to the other side of the room. I tear at my own fur, pulling out spider-filled clumps in the process with such ferocity that the skin beneath bleeds. I pull and pull, my vision blurred from my own fear-induced weeping. The needle-shot sensation of when they bite is the worst part. It doesn't hurt as much as I thought it would, but I can feel it every time, over and over again. I pull a large one off my face and throw it to the ground, a scruff of fur and some of my goatee going with it. Dancing up and down, I try to shake the remaining ones off, but they cling incessantly. Trying to pull each one off is impossible, they're too fast. Sometimes I only manage to grab a few legs or the thick abdomen and the rest of them remains embedded in my fur. Spider blood isn't red or green like it is in video games or movies. It's this faint blue kind of color, and it feels like it's all over me. I take rapid, short breaths, each one more strained than the last. My whole body shakes. I can't tell whether it's symptoms of panic or the venom itself. I try to open the door again, pulling and pushing as hard as I can before throwing myself at it. Nothing happens. I kick at it like they do in the movies. Nothing happens. I'm stuck, trapped, and I can see the spiders everywhere. Even after getting most of them off, they're all over the floor, the walls, the ceiling, and my clothes. I retreat to the dampest, water-stained corner of the room. The staining is so bad, it looks like it's been burned black. Spiders don't like moist areas. I remember reading about that, at least. I continue to pick at my fur, even after I think they're all gone. I still feel them. I can also feel my muscles around my neck and shoulders begin to cramp. My stomach feels like it's been twisted outside, and it isn't long before I get the sensation of hot bile rising up my throat. The rough edges of my morning's rice treat scrape my insides. I reel forward as it all comes spewing out my mouth. I can't breathe. It burns so much. I try to call out for help, but every time I open my mouth, it's just more vomit. There's another black widow climbing up my leg, but I can't focus enough to swat at it. Each breath I take is bubbling, like acid is going straight into my lungs. I just need someone to help me. I clench my eyes shut tight, and when I open them, everything's different. The modern bookshelves and electric equipment are all replaced with all this old-timey crap I can't make out. But I see it, past a wooden chair, a door. How the hell? The puking has slowed to a trickle from the edges of my mouth, but my insides still burn. I manage to push myself off the wall, stepping upon creaky floorboards that weren't there a minute ago. I stumble past old wagon wheels and piles of what looks like Bibles. Eventually, I reach it. The light. The door is already open ajar, so I push, and it doesn't budge. No! Why? Why won't it open? I sink down to the floor, half collapsing as my knees start to give out. Help! I finally manage to croak out. Good lord! I manage to turn my head in the direction of the voice. A blurry figure now stands in the room, his voice one of shock. Professor Tibbets! I can't tell if he's looking at me or past me. Cliff? And just like that, he's gone. The room, though, the room is still here. It's all red, like before. I feel compelled to stand again, but my legs won't budge. I just can't. Everything hurts. I shift my eyes down. The black widow that was crawling up me earlier is now a blonde tarantula. Why? Why is this happening? Someone. I can't think straight. I just want to go home. Leo! Mom! Help! I miss home. God, I wish I was home. I hate this. Why won't anyone help? Why'd they all leave me? Why can't I get out? Useless. No. Don't tell me that. Just die already. I'm not gonna die. I'm not. The cramping in my muscles is the most intense I've ever felt. It's like the flesh itself is being peeled from my bones, each nerve ending plucked like the whiskers. The tarantula is on my face now, on the tip of my nose. I can see all its eyes, and in those eyes I see the reflection of my own. Its dusty blonde hair begins to shift, dissolving into the darkness, contrasted with neon orange markings. And then it becomes nothing. I close my eyes and wait. Dead. I sling the bow over my shoulder and set my quiver down on the little yellow plastic table next to me. It's got a little cubby holder in the center meant for storing crayons and shit, but I haven't used it for that in a long time. I approach the target and tear off the photograph I printed out of the school's library. I remember the librarian giving me quite the look about it, not that I was going to explain to her what it was for. Right beneath his turban, though. Not bad for 150 feet. I smile, holding it up and seeing the sunlight shine through the hole. It's at that moment, though, I start to feel a bit silly. Who the fuck am I kidding? Nobody's gonna kill this guy with a bow. They'll blast him into 100 pieces with a weaponized UAV. Also, they don't let faggots in the military. Still, Uncle will dig this. He can hang it up in the garage next to the 100 and 125 feet ones. He's been trying to get me to practice more with the 22, but I like the bow better. It's quiet, so I don't gotta worry about the county sheriff getting called again. And, not that I'd ever admit it, but I fucking hate that noise. I think I got sensitive ears or something. Carl was telling me, just use a silencer. Like that's how it fucking works. Dude's gonna grow up on dumb movies and video games and have no clue how the real world works. This place, at least, it's pretty far away from any houses besides my own. I think I've only ever seen one other non-friend family person out here, and that was Heather's mom, stoned off her ass. None of the group are really into this stuff, so it's pretty aight when I'm wanting to be alone. I fold up the picture, stuffing it into the side pocket of my cargo pants. I walk back to the firing line, taking hold of my quiver once again. I draw my bow, rating another arrow. I'm about to fire though, this nearby rumbling sound starts coming from the road about a mile north. It sounds like someone's going off-roading. I squint past the glare of the afternoon sun and spot the pale blue of the truck heading my direction. Through the windshield, I spot a familiar, small, tufted face. What the hell? I drop my gear, watching the vehicle accelerate and decelerate haphazardly. Shit, Bert, what are you doing? The truck pulls off and comes to an abrupt halt. I step up to the driver's side window, about to chastise the furry bastard, but the look on his face stops me. I don't see any sort of jest or self-satisfied mischief. Just shaken, wide-eyed blankness. Whoa, what the hell's going on, dude? Flynn, can you come with me? He's acting weird as hell. Why? Please. I sigh. Yeah, scoot over. No way am I letting someone even younger than me drive around. Also, gonna grab my gear so nobody steals it. Cindy just nods. I turn, walking back to grab the cooler, bow, and quiver. I'm guessing his folks are being funky again. Still, he's gonna get his hide tanned for jacking their truck. I throw my equipment in the truck bed before opening the driver's side door. Sydney's already sitting on the passenger side. I notice his eyes, the way they look all bleary and pink around the edges. He's been crying. God damn. Wanna tell me what's up? Sydney says nothing. You ain't been killing hookers again, have ya? I know the bitches step out of line sometime, and you gotta keep your pimp hands strong, but there are limits, little guy. I smirk at him. He just looks down between his knees, cupping his face in his paws. Ugh, I'm not helping, am I? I clear my throat. Well, shit, at least tell me where we're going. Sydney rubs his face and his webbed paws. Finally, he lifts his head and speaks. We step around the damp sticks and bramble before eventually reaching the clearing. Sydney seems to get more nervous every step we take, muttering something about being tough every now and then. I decided a while ago I wasn't gonna pry, but I feel myself getting increasingly nervous. What the hell are we doing all the way out here? Eventually, he reaches a stop, then points past some bushes. I can see what looks like rusted metal past the green. I raise a brow at him before stepping through. I see him, and my gut sinks. Part of me wondered what could have possibly made Sydney act like this, and the thought crossed my mind, but I didn't want to believe it. He's laying down in an awkward pose, legs bent up and tucked beneath the front bumper of the abandoned van. At first, I think his mouth is open, but then I realize half his jaw is missing, a clear hole visible all the way up through his neck. I can see where the spine connects the brain and everything. The blood is so dark, it looks like motor oil. The words catch in my throat. I'm gonna be sick. I hear crying from beside me, and I know he's there. I know he's seeing this too. Oh, okay. Wow. Wow? Really? What did you... I didn't kill him! I did it, I swear! I spot the rifle next to the corpse. It's a .22 long barrel, a really awkward weapon to try to kill yourself with due to its length. I turn. The sight of it's all making me feel like I'm about to lose my breakfast. Are you sure? I wouldn't blame you if you did. I didn't! His shrill yell catches me off guard and I nearly lose my nerve. Oh, okay. He took you out here and shot himself? We were arguing, and then he saw the van and started acting weird. His voice is much higher pitched than it usually is. Sydney always puts on his fake, gravelly sort of candid to sort of sound tough. He doesn't have any of that now, and it sounds just like any other scared little kid. He left me, then he came back an hour later with his gun. He said he wanted me to watch him do it. He looks like he's about to hyperventilate. He covers his face with his forearms, whimpering out loud. My head hurts. I take him by the shoulders and turn him away from the scene. Let's take you back to the truck, eh? I believe you. Sydney's dad was a weird motherfucker. Really grinny, like TJ's folks, but even more completely fucking fake. We all used to go to the same church down in Prior Valley, so he treated me like I was one of them. As of late, though, he'd been acting really strangely towards me. I always wondered if my parents told him something. Fucking doesn't matter right now, does it? Let's sit you back down in the truck, okay? It's warm in there. Sydney just nods. We reach the truck and I start noticing little things about it that make my heart sink. The pack of Sydney's dad's chewing gum on the dashboard. His Fishbait Pro Gamer bumper sticker. The Alpine Wind air freshener that dangles from the rearview mirror. All of this shit from a person who is just gone. I put the keys in the ignition, then turn on the heater and radio. All that the antenna picks up now is just some twangy country stuff. I step around to the truck bed and unzip the plastic cooler I've got. I ate all the jerky from earlier. All that's left is a couple lemon lime sodas. I take one and hand it to Sydney. Here, drink this. His parents never let him have soda. I sort of expect him to just hold it and keep staring ahead blankly, but he actually pops the top and starts glugging it down. There's more in the back if you get thirsty. They're gonna think I did it, aren't they? Who will? Everyone. They'll think I'm a monster. I open my mouth to dismiss that, but the more I think about it, the more suspicious it all looks. Not that I doubt Sydney for a fucking second. He wouldn't lie to me about something serious like this. But the cops? Dude, Sydney. The angle of the gunshot. He looks up at me, eyes big and swelling up. It looks bad. Like he couldn't have. I didn't want him to do it. I tried and I tried and I tried. I talked to him for hours. I kept trying to pull it away. He wouldn't listen to me. He just kept talking. I resist the urge to muffle him as he begins to scream, looking around nervously. I don't think many people come to this part of the state land. Instead, I place my hand on his back, rubbing gingerly. It's okay. It's okay. I thought if I yanked hard enough... Snot dribbles from his nose, which he wipes quickly on his jacket. He just shakes his head. It fired. Fuck. I feel my gut twisting at the prospect of what I'm about to do. It's like my insides have already gone cold, as if the thermal padding on my clothing has gone. I'll take care of it. What do you mean? I'll bury him. If anyone asks, you can say you were hunting down the pass a couple of miles from here, and he stormed off. Will anyone believe that? More so than what really happened. My tone comes out more curt than I intended, and Sydney begins to bawl again. I kind of want to cry too. I squeeze Sydney's shoulders before letting go. As I turn and head back to the van, it's like this physical sense of dread is hugging me the closer I get. What fucking else can I do here? Turn Sydney into the cops? They won't understand. Even his mom wouldn't. She'd probably blame me as the bad influence that caused this to happen. As I near the abandoned van, I try to look at the body. I just gotta find a good spot to start digging. There's 2 pinyon trees at the bottom of the nearby hill that are surrounded by thick undergrowth. That'll have to do. I just wish I had a shovel. Regardless, I begin to dig. And dig and dig and dig. I pull mounds upon mounds of soil out with my bare hands. Worms, spiders, and other sorts of creepy crawlies that'll probably make Chase freak out are everywhere. My hands start to feel raw, and I notice smears of blood on some of the soil I'm holding. After a while, I can't stop now. This is already too suspicious. Hours pass. My aunt and uncle are probably wondering where I am. I don't know what I'm gonna tell them. The truth? No. I'll just sneak in, act like I'm taking a shower, and change my clothes, then wash them when I get to the chance. I think I finally get deep enough, though my arms are numb as hell. I glance up the hill and I see the very edge of Sydney's dad's foot. I just need to get it over with. A quick tug and a haul, and we'll be home free. I don't move. I just keep staring at it. Like, it'll start twitching or something, and I'll hear his voice ask me what I'm doing. It's just so still. Like a rock. Empty. It reminds me of the upside-down cockroaches that I find in the garage all the time. Just empty husks that once contained life and are all just a shell. I'm overcome with the notion that I really, really don't want to die. Eventually, without even realizing it, I manage to get my legs working again. I grasp the foot. I pull it down the slope. It doesn't bend like I thought it would. Each movement of the joints kind of crackles with this horrible sound. I try to think of anything else to keep myself from throwing up. Gourmet salads, fishing trips, barbecues, my friends. The husk falls into the makeshift grave. For the first time, I see his eyes. He's looking at me. Right at me. I always thought that the look of a dead person's eyes would be like seeing someone who is looking through you. But no, it's like he's focused on me. Fuck! Are you? I look down at Sydney's dad, expectantly. No response. One of his arms is sticking up, frozen in rigor. It's too tall, and it could stick out of the topsoil blue away. I take a deep breath and step down on it. It crunches like a bunch of dry twigs. I jolt back. Fuck! I scurry back up the hill, grabbing the rifle, the shell casings, and the dead duck for good measure. I toss it all into the pit before feverishly covering it all with dirt. It's at that point that I notice Sydney standing nearby, clutching onto a tree like he's afraid he'll blow away. His brown cheek fur is matted with tears, and he wrings his heavy tail like a wet cloth. I make sure to cover the face as fast as possible, though I still think Sydney saw it. I wonder if he thought the eyes were looking at him too. I scoop the last full mounds of dirt on top, wiping the blood off my jacket. I'm panting. Sydney looks from the grave to me. He opens his mouth, pauses, then quietly mutters, "Thanks, Flynn." I don't know what to say. Yeah. I nod, for some reason. I manage to look him straight in the eyes, this time. Where do you want to go from here? Something happens. It's something on his face. It's like he's not himself. We'll be okay. We're tough. None of this matters. The van jostles and teeters as it careens down the dirt road before the turn off into Wilma Bend. All this bumps and speeding is making my head hurt something fierce all of a sudden. Leo, slow down! The Red Wolf keeps looking over his shoulder as he drives, as if he's afraid he's going to see Clint sprinting behind us. Turn up here. Your place? Yeah, it's closest. I can't believe we left Chase behind. I told you, he bolted out the back door first chance he got. I didn't know City Hall had a back door. There's a silence for a moment. I say nothing. I've never seen him get like that before. Who, Clint or Chase? Shut up, Flynn. Fuck you. I feel a pinch in the back of my neck, Jenna having grasped me hard. Enough! I'm serious. I reel forward, managing to wiggle free. Okay. Leo just snarls like the little feral tit-dirt he is. Despite all this raging earlier, Leo actually looks a bit conflicted. Leo pulls up to the driveway, and as the van stops, he's already out, storming his way to the door. I need to piss. It's locked. Leo turns the front door handle and, to my surprise, opens it up and steps right inside. Or not. I step outside, stretching my limbs. There's not much room in Leo's mommy missile for someone like me. My mind still buzzes, trying to comprehend everything that just happened. Chase, that fucker. To think I've been fantasizing about him nonstop for the past goddamn week like a horny 14-year-old. He sabotaged this whole thing, making me look like some kind of calculating sadistic rapist. And nobody else notices when his face changed. Every time. TJ and Jenna pass alongside besides me, looking both a mix of wary and exhausted. I wonder how much of this shit they believed. They're so gullible to bullshit coming from a whimpering face after all. Carl follows suit, clutching his phone in his paws, but not looking at it. Maybe not all of them, though. I shut the car door and head in. I enter and the dry heat feels so good on my scales. I let out a big sigh, taking a moment to just not think for a while and ignore the stares in my direction. Flynn? The moment lasts less than 5 seconds before Jenna interrupts. Yeah? do you have a landline? We're trying to dial the sheriff, but none of us can get any reception on our phones. It shows bars every now and then, but then drops shortly after they appear. Do I look like I'm 40? Nobody has a landline these days. You kinda do. I mean, from the back. I resist the urge to ask how, instead just letting out a quick huff of air. Let me check mine. I reach into my pocket. After taking out my phone, I notice the signal bars in the top right are fluctuating wildly, almost blinking. I try to call 911, but nothing goes through. Shit. Not working for you either? I toss my phone on the kitchen island. I'll just get my repeater. Your what? Flynn, seriously? Are you planning on turning this into some kind of Wild West shootout? This is not the time for one of your urban-ass anti-gun lectures. This is my house. Jenna starts a rebuttal, but I'm already gone. I head down the hallway to the storage closet, opening it and reaching up to the top shelf. I don't have any small kids to worry about, so I always leave this one loaded, just in case. I hear some shuffling behind me. Looking over my shoulder, there's some movement going into Daxton's room. Ordinarily, I give him and his private space a wide-ass berth so that he'll do the same, but under the circumstances. Yo! The salamander blinks up at me from his bed. He's draped in a striped blanket, sitting upright and looking a little frazzled. Flynn? He looks sidelong, then back at me, then the rifle. The interview went that badly? Fucking terribly. Also, there's a meth head with a gun roaming around town, so I just got this out in case. The others are here too. They're eating all your shit, probably. Okay. As long as they don't touch my astronaut dried ice cream, it's okay. Too late, by now Carl's eaten them all, plus the box they came in. You know how goats are. Speciest. Wait, seriously, the interview didn't go smooth like? I wasn't fucking kidding when I said that. Daxton frowns. I'll talk to my cousin, maybe make up some excuse or something. You look like shit. What? He blinks, rubbing his hands over his smooth face. Oh yeah, took a nap and had a strange sort of vision dream. I've been having a lot of those lately. I notice the pens and paper on his lap now, plus a notebook filled with rapid scribblings. I needed to write everything down, otherwise I'd forget. You know how they are, where after 15 minutes it's all gone, but a vague sense of familiarity of the setting and time and day. I don't dream. The salamander blinks. What? I look down the hall. I was joking earlier, but it looks like Carl is straight up digging through our pantry already. Daxton sighs when he realizes I'm not going to explain. Well, can I tell you about it? Look, it'll just take a minute. Dax, I'm distracted as dick right now. You're distracted by dick? Ass? Are you fucking deaf? Ugh. No, you're just confusing. Look, I was flying on this airship thing. In your dream? Yeah, but it felt real. I don't feel like I slept at all. It's all like I was there. So, not a dream. Not a dream. A vision, a spirit quest, Tulpa experience, whatever the hell you want to be calling it. I lean my rifle against the doorway, crossing my arms over my chest. I could smell the metal of the cockpit, and I could feel the leather of the chair. I was flying over this giant body of water. I don't think it was an ocean, though. He stares at the tips of the webbed feet poking out from beneath a blanket, as if they would remind him of something. It made me nervous because I wasn't good at swimming. But I'm great at swimming. I'm a goddamn salamander, yeah? Something went wrong with the pulse drive, and I started losing altitude. Eventually, I hit the water and had to evacuate. Everything just sunk instantly. I didn't have time to grab any gear. It was just me in the middle of the water, no land in sight, and a little chance of rescue. The salamander begins to wring his own wrists, his tone of voice serious despite the absurdity of all this shit. All I knew how to do was doggy paddle. I remember being really scared and missing home. I tried slipping off my clothes to make myself more buoyant, but it didn't work. I kept looking under the water for some reason. Like, to see how deep it was. I couldn't see the bottom, it was so dark. The top of the water was warm, but even like 5 feet down, it was freezing. I kept trying to pull my legs up, because I didn't like them being down in the cold, dark space. It was like I was afraid of something down there. Even though it hurt my eyes, I couldn't stop pushing my head under the water to look, to be sure it was safe. He peers up to me now, a strange sort of expression on his face I can't really name. Just as it was getting dark, I glanced down into the depths and saw orange and black. It was you. I crossed my arms just a little tighter, my frown deepening. You were so far down, I could just barely make you out, your general shape and your eyes. They were hollow, empty, nothing. Even though I forgot most of the other details, that face stuck with me. I unconsciously rubbed my own eyes, still there as far as I can see. I was terrified, but there was nowhere I could swim. I was afraid if I started kicking, I would get your thing's attention. Despite everything, after a few minutes, I looked again. At first, it was just empty. And then, this huge head just emerged from the depths. No eyes, and no gaping mouth where a muzzle should be. The whole water got cold and I woke up. Daxton knees at his blanket, looking a mixture of deeply uncomfortable and relieved to get this off his chest. Still, I stare blankly at him. I don't have a fucking clue how to react to this. Sounds like something a head shrink should unpack, cause fuck knows I'm not gonna try. Daxton leans his head against the wall. Thanks anyway. Yep. I look down the hall again and see Carl chewing on what looks like a dehydrated Neapolitan bar. Carl's eating your shitty ice cream that you like for real, by the way. What? God damn it. Carl! The ram stops, his mouth full of the crumbly stuff. I know what that ice cream is. What? Daxton peels off his blanket and marches up to the kitchen in a huff. I sigh, shaking my head some as I pick up the rifle and plop myself up to the window in the dining room. TJ looks most surprised at the weapon in my grasp, the lynx actually stepping back. Jenna puts her phone down and Carl stops apologizing to Daxton. At that moment, Leo steps out of the bathroom. He doesn't move, he just looks at the rifle, then me. But what the hell? These idiots act like they've never seen a gun before. For fuck's sake! I bring the rifle up to my chest. Y'all don't gotta worry, I just have this to shoot you all for treating me like shit all these years. I smirk, snickering some. No one else laughs. Even as I peer to Carl, he just looks down at his hooves. It was a fucking joke. I'm joking. You guys are so stupid. Way to go, Flynn. I turn, shifting focus to the outside. It's nearly nightfall now. Everything looks normal. There's some smoke off in the distance, but it's too far to really be of much concern. I can't get a hold of Chase. No shit. The signal in the area is erratic. We couldn't get a call out to 911. Is that why Gilla Gunslinger over here is by the window? I sneer. Yes, he insisted on being protected. That's smart. I left my piece at home. Oh god, not you too. Let's just make some dinner instead. We're not gonna talk about what happened? I'm sorry, right now I just want to eat. There's a lot to unpack and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, but we can do better than what happened earlier. I find myself actually surprised. I never would have figured I'd hear those words from Jenna, especially with TJ around. You know, I'd kill for some carne asada right now, yeah? Hopefully not literally. Flynn's already got that planned. Yeah, I heard. He gives me a bit of a cold look. What the hell is his problem? I'm the goddamn victim here. Not that I'd ever put it like that. I haven't exactly grocery shopped to host a party of... Daxton stops, starting to count all of us. 6. The salamander opens the fridge, staring into it as if looking into a particularly deep canyon. We got leftover salad, some fruit, cream cheese. There's frozen bass in the fridge. I glance over and a few of them grimace. Of course. We got a blender, can make some smoothies with kefir, yogurt, milk, and fruit. Maybe a side salad with it? I mean, I'm assuming y'all just quaffing down the local diner junk all week, so it might be nice. Carl and TJ and Jenna exchange looks with each other. Leo, meanwhile, looks like he's tapping at his phone, occasionally looking out the window. That'll work. Thank you, Daxton, and apologies for all of this. I didn't say it was fine. Some of that's my shit. Daxton gives me a dull look. Without further word, he takes out the big bowl of leftover salad and sets it on the counter along with a grocery bag of fruit. I feel my teeth start to grit, so I shift my focus outside again. Still no signs of life beyond the usual distant spots of light, each going and coming down the highway around the canyon. The smoke I noticed earlier rising up near the res looks like it's billowing higher, though. Despite everything, it's actually sorta nice out. The temperature's okay, with some light cloud cover that only particularly veils the orange-purple hues of the dusky sky. It's that sort of night that I usually like to spend outside on the porch, drinking tea and whittling on some balsa. Daxton's usually quiet, cooped up in his room with his fantasy shit. I don't know how I feel about the music he usually has playing, but it's not bad. To think, 30 miles away, Payton's bustling with 100,000 people all enjoying their Saturday night. Hell, back in the day, it used to be a tiny ranching community that service deco kept everyone fed and such. 30 miles in the other direction, you've got the res. Population keeps dwindling from that place too, no matter how much money the feds give them to live there. All the young folk just pack up and get out while they can. The rest generally don't do too hot. Finally, 65 miles east, you've got the Jericho Proving Grounds. I remember back when I was a tweeny little jarhead, fussing to my uncle to take me there. They only did tours twice a year, and that there's a huge wait list. I had expected there to be a giant hole in the ground the size of Echo Canyon, but there was pretty much nothing. Dust and sediment had filled it all over the span of 75 years. Dry grass and shrubs had even sprouted on top. All that's left was just a torn up hunk of 3-ton cylinders that burned so hot the metal liquefied and pooled beneath it. You could walk through the site and have no idea where the fucking A-bomb was dropped. Well, if it weren't for the big black obelisk they erected on top, which now is just another spot for visitors to take photos of themselves. Man mustn't forget the past, for the past will not forget man, it reads. It reminds me of the whole push for the county to make the mine some fucking tourist spot. Just slap a plaque up there with a little blurb about all the death and shit, and that'll make a great selfie spot. Traffic's traffic, right? Hell, call it haunted, and you'll get even more weirdos coming here to exploit it. Like Chase. As I hear the background noise of a muffled conversation and Daxton trying to figure out how my blender works, the present sinks in. I wonder if he's going to figure out his way out before I can get to him. I look over and Daxton is putting the whole fucking apple into the blender. Some bitch! What are you doing? Daxton looks up, struggling to keep the lid on, as the apple smacks hard against the plastic sides. Cut the fucking thing up first. It's not gonna take a whole apple. The salamander still looks a bit dazed. I guess he's still reeling from his dream or whatever. Don't just me. Do it, you fucking slippery bitch, before you break my shit. Flynn? Jenna's glaring at me from the living room. It's my shit. It's my house. Jesus, man, I'm stopping. He pulls out the lacerated apple, setting it on the paper towel, just grumbling. Gosh damn Asperger's and french fries, I swear. I clench my rifle harder at hearing the old A word again. Turning, I make my way down the hall. There's a window in my bedroom. I'll watch there. No one else says anything. At least while I'm still in earshot. I kick aside the hamper and pull open the curtains to peer outside. The view's not so good here, but I don't think I could stand being there too much longer. I tense, feeling the brush of fur on my arm. Carl's standing next to me, some freeze-dried ice cream in his grasp. Jesus, when did he get so quiet? He doesn't say anything, which puts me in the awkward position of being the one to speak. Fat ass. I mumble. Carl holds up the ice cream, which has a weird wafer-like consistency. I told Daxton I'd give him a bunch of Hans cartons I got back at my house. Your folks won't mind? They won't notice. I just gotta say I ate it all myself. Yeah, they wouldn't doubt that. There's a light smile on his muzzle now. Right. I blink. You're okay? Not really. All this stuff got my mind off the interview, though. Just kinda wanna go home and play video games without getting shot. There's a silent pause. Chase, what he said wasn't true. Oh, I know. I let out a sharp exhale, closing my eyes for a second. I let the tip of my repeater rest against the floor. Thank you, though. For what? Defending me back at the office. The Ram shakes his head dismissively. I don't think you'll see most of them besides Leo again after tomorrow, though. Like you said, none of this matters. The truth does. I guess your spring break hookup with Chase isn't going to be a long-term thing then, right? I wasn't really expecting that to be brought up. Who told him? Or was it that fucking obvious? He pulls out his phone, seeming to check whether my Wi-Fi is working yet. I grunt, clearing my throat. I just want to know what happened. Dude, if I was Chase, I'd get in my car and drive back to Pueblo at this point. I don't think he's gonna do that. Why? I locked his ass in the reading room. Carl's eyes widen, the ram reacting much quicker than normal without his usual pot haze. So, that's where you went? I think that's a crime, man. So is murder. Dude, this is Chase you're talking about. Yeah. I look offward, peering at the sorry state of my room at the moment. I usually keep shit tidy, but now there's dirty laundry all over the place and everything kind of smells musky. Nowhere near as bad as Carl's, but still. I'm just gonna talk to him. No torture or anything, right? Fucking hell, Carl. Do you really think I'd do that? I'm not Leo. I was joking. He rolls his shoulders. It feels kind of like when we were kids again, with all this stuff. Yeah, I trail off like my mouth is refusing to speak the words in my head. He sets his not icy ice cream down on my nightstand, and I resist the urge to yell at him about the crumbs. Meanwhile, Daxton starts up the blender again in the other room. Man, I think I hear Carl sigh. Do you want, like, a hug or something? I look down at him, raising a brow. Do you? He shrugs, seeing a mixture of numb and trepidatious. I just don't want you to leave, dude. Not like everyone else. It takes me a moment to register the shift in the conversation. After everything that's happened, that's what's bothering him the most? The fact that I said I might leave town? Man, we talked about this shit earlier. I know, dude. Carl rubs at his jaw and face with the base of his paws, pacing upon the carpeted floor. It suck ass, that's all. Not in a good way either. I fidget with my rifle, acting like I'm doing something with it while I think of what to say. You'd be alright. I don't know, you seem to be friendlying up with Dax. He even plays video games and does all that other nerd shit you like to do that I don't. You game sometimes. Yeah, only because you do. I guess that's the point, isn't it? He scratches at his beanie, a bit of his head fur peeking out from his horn holes. I say nothing, just watching him go back and forth. I wish he wasn't so nervous. I wish he'd just say it. He's cool. And you're not as anxious around him. I still kind of am. You talk about porn and shit with him within an hour of your first proper conversation. That's how you can tell you've made a good friend. I put on a smirk. If that were the case, you'd be the most popular guy in the county. Oh, fuck off, bleeder. I snirk, regardless. With a shift of my hips, I nudge him with my tail. Stop treading, you're wearing out the carpet. Sorry. He stops, looking down at his hooves for a moment, then back at me. If I stayed put, I'd probably start sticking to it. Fuck you. I smile, though I try to stifle it. I always thought us lizard folk look fucking creepy when we smile. We don't really have that same cutesy appeal like most furry fuckers. Like Carl. This is gonna sound really gay, but promise you won't leave, dude. The seriousness of the request makes me pause. I look into his eyes and I feel like a selfish asshole. Carl's not fucking ready for this world. He's just gonna rot here. But I never really felt right filling the whole big brother role again after what happened. Carl shifts his weight from hoof to hoof, noting my lack of response. I know I'm like a total burden, but you're not a fucking burden. Huh? You keep me from losing my mind in this shithole, you know that? You're the reason I haven't left already. Carl stopped shifting, seeming to try to wrap his head around that admission. He opens his muzzle to speak, but I cut him off. And don't go fucking off again about how you're almost 21 and should be better on your own. Turning into an adult doesn't magically fix all the shit that's fucked you up as a kid. Dude, you're not. He thins his lips, the ram looking rather awkward. I'll stay. For now. For real? That's what I just fucking said, you absolute dumbass. The next thing I know, Carl's fist is against my soft spot. I flinch back, herking instinctively, but there's no pain, only that same usual tingly feeling. He's not punching me, he's poking me. The corner of Carl's lips curl upward in a sort of half smile. He nudges me again, this time in the shoulder. I raise an inquisitive brow, thumping him back. He steps forward, wrapping his arms around my torso. I'm left standing, a little baffled at what just happened, with Carl's thick arms around my midsection. His fur is coarse. Not quite to the point that it's prickling me, but it has its weight to it. I look down at the top of the beanie's noggin, and it really is just like when we were kids again. A real damn milksop. There's no backpacks with a hug. He lingers. I open my mouth to say something stupid, but I just bite my tongue. I don't draw back either. I close my eyes, I empty my mind and just stop thinking for a moment. I lean forward, resting my chin between his horns. I get this weird sort of twisty feeling in my chest. Carl shifts again as if trying to look up. And of course, the edge of his hoof steps right on one of my toes. I suppress a grimace just as the ram lifts his head up enough to meet me eye to eye. Sorry. It's fine. I'm tough. Hey. Jenna's voice startles us both as we pull apart. I pivot on the heel to see the fox staring at us with a look I can't quite place. Surprised, bemused, even a bit wiry. Food's ready. She looks at both of us. Carl acts like he's checking his phone. High school me would be squealing right now. I swear, there's something in the tap water. I open my mouth to protest, then just let out a quiet ugh. I have to will my tail not to curl in on itself. Then again, I'm pretty sure you don't drink plain water. She seems to be looking up at Carl. I can practically see Carl's blush through his cheek fur. Flynn, when you got a minute? What? I clear my throat, putting on a more neutral expression. What do you want? I need to talk to you. Not about this. Her eyes flick back and forth between us. She's drinking in the sight like Carl downs energy drinks. What the hell does she want to talk to me about alone? I glance down at Carl, then back. Yeah, I'm still gonna keep watch after, though. Is that what you were doing? She turns, departing as soon as she finishes speaking, not letting me get a word out. Fucking typical. I rub my hands all over my face. It was just a hug. Carl's voice is quiet, but still rings defensively. Tss, fuck her. I'm, glad you're staying though, dude. I grunt, reaching over and squeezing the pudge on the ram's side. He grins instinctively, trying to push my hand away. I give his pectorals one last pinch before giving him a nudge out the door to my room. I guess I'm supposed to feel embarrassed right now, but I don't really. I'm just glad I have this loser around. Daxton will be good for Carl if I do go, but I don't want to think about that right now. As I turn to leave, I look at my bed and I can't help but see him laying there. That vacant look in his eyes, my cum still splattered on his neck. Fucker was playing me this whole time, and for what? To get off? That's all it was. It's spring break and he, for some reason, watched enough scaly porn to want me. Consequence-free, right? The sound of clinking silverware in the kitchen pulls me back into the present. I straighten out my pants, waiting for my cock to fully retreat before heading back to the kitchen with my rifle. Ugh. There they all are. Carl's already poking around inside a salad bowl on the counter, glancing up at me briefly. He's like right behind Leo. You can barely see him. Daxton's the only one sitting, staring at the water in his glass. I sling my rifle over my shoulder. I grab one of the salamander's cups from the cupboard and get myself what looks like an apple banana smoothie. The cup itself is labeled for some sort of convention, though the exact name of it has been worn away from so many washings. As I move to the salad, Carl nudges me. At first, I think he's just being playful, but then I follow his eyes. Leo's pacing back and forth by the window, muttering something about Clint. He keeps checking his phone, the wolf pretty evidently restless as hell. TJ's looking at him too, his expression difficult to place. He's never been exactly hard to read when he's upset like this. His nervous tick always gives it away. Not yet I can't tell what he looks more of, concerned or guilty. I'm usually good at reading folks, so this is kind of pissing me off. I take a seat next to Daxton. I'm a bit out of the loop here. His big blue eyes shift from person to person. Might be best if you fuck off again for a bit. Seriously, can you just explain something for once instead of being like a weird, cryptic shithead? I can see lines forming along Daxton's smooth forehead as he furrows his brow. His skin is so tightly stretched across his body, it makes even the slightest change of face readily visible. I don't have a clue how the furry tits get my kind confused with his. As I grunt and mutter for him to eat my shit, I can't help but wonder if I should bring him up to speed or not. I guess part of me wants as many people as possible to know what happened. Fuck, that's what I've always wanted, right? These fuckers finally acting like something happened, and that our little group wasn't just little old Leo, Chase, TJ, Jenna, Carl, and I. Eventually, everybody sits to eat. There's not enough room at the kitchen island for everybody, so TJ and Jenna just sit at the counter by the fridge. TJ is still not saying much. Alright, I still can't access the Wi-Fi or make calls. Daxton, is it? Yep. Were we not taking shelter from Clint, we wouldn't mean to impose upon you like this, so my apologies. It's alright. He pokes out a little clump of almond shavings in his salad. I just want to know what's going on. She looks to TJ, then after a quiet, affirming nod from the lynx, she responds to the salamander. When we were younger, one of our neighbors, our friend, drowned in Lake Emma. She pauses. Actually, they died in the hospital later on. But the point is, we were all there for it. It was a rather traumatizing experience, even for the older members of our sort of group of friends at the time. She speaks in such a plain, even tone, she might as well be reading the directions off the back of a TV dinner. Everyone, including Daxton, looks incredibly uncomfortable. The salamander just nods in faux understanding. Oh. He digs into his salad with such focus, it's like he's trying to read a book in there. So, let's just jump right into it. She takes a big drink from her smoothie, leaving us in anticipation. I groan quietly. Flynn? Fucking what? Do you believe that Chase killed Sydney? What? Daxton looks up, letting out a little wisp of laughter, assuming we're joking. As he sees he's the only one laughing, he starts to look visibly tense. I didn't fucking expect her to just straight up ask me this either. Well, way I see it, either Chase is lying or TJ is. Or fuck it, maybe they both are and are covering for each other's asses. But Chase in there was spouting bullshit like a steer's rear. I point to TJ, who quickly looks away. Threw me under the bus the moment he started squealing. Chase wouldn't lie to me about something big like this, yeah? But neither would Tej. The wolf rubs his paws through his fur on his face. TJ shifts, looking like he's about to start crying again. I'm not lying. It's still word versus word with you two. And Chase fucked off once TJ told us what happened from his point of view. Which took you long enough, by the way. I hard-eye the lynx, but his own eyes are cast so far away from me, they might as well be looking at the back of his head. TJ? Jenna rubs her paws on the napkin, wringing out some before speaking again. Tell us about the monster you saw. Oh, come on. Jenna ignores me. And give as much details as you can. And take as much time as you need. TJ clutches his bowl of salad in his lap with both paws. It looks like he hasn't had a bite. His eyes take on the more reflective quality they always do when the tears are starting to well. It's unnerving on a sort of primal level to see TJ tearing up like this. He's an adult, a grown-ass man looking like he did when he was a kid. It reminds me how little any of us have truly grown up. Like I said before, tall, with burnt skin, reddish, I guess. How tall? Like almost 7 feet. Jenna frowns. How did it move? Really fast, or not at all. It was like pictures, you know? A slideshow that was being fast-forwarded. Carl finally looks up from his hooves, the ram appearing increasingly nervous. When it started walking through the water didn't move like a wake. It just splashed out with each step. Tell me about the face again, please? Okay. Teach having a hard time getting the words out, but Jenna doesn't stop. She looks wrapped. 3 holes. 2 for the eyes, 1 for the mouth. They weren't like bloody or anything, just empty, dark. Everyone's silent for a moment. Then next to me, Daxton rises up to his feet. The salamander walks to where TJ's sitting, then points to something behind him. Like this? He's pointing at an electrical socket? TJ turns, looks at it, then twitches as if startled. He quickly wipes his eyes and nods. Daxton stares, slack-jawed. Leo takes a loud slurp from his smoothie. There's a dribble of pink liquid stuck to his fur around the edge of his jowls. Guys, am I missing something here? I saw it. Saw what, Carl? That thing. Carl gestures towards the electrical outlet. I give him an incredulous look as we meet each other's glances for a second. Yeah? I saw a pretty nifty light switch back when I was 13. It didn't make me hide the truth about my friend's murder for about a decade. Shut up, dude. I blink at Carl. He stands up, still staring at that socket. When I crashed my car that night, you remember? I do. Carl didn't want to talk about it for months after it happened. I only found out about the truth then. It was after he dropped out of college. Apparently, it was way fucking past twilight, and he was drugged out of his mind. That scabies-ridden fat-ass Jeremy gave him acid in the trailer, and he had a bad trip. Carl described some cartoon he put on, a tiger and a bird, with the tiger baking the bird alive. He mentioned how vivid everything was and how fucking Jeremy wouldn't stop laughing. He busted out of there and drove off hightail-like. While making his way down Route 65, he swerved and hit a pole. The impact would have killed him if he weren't so thick-skulled. And of course, he told his dear old parents about it, and they took the blame for everything. They didn't want him to be tested when the cops showed. It wasn't until a couple months ago he told me. In his drug-addled mind, he thought he had driven to Pueblo to pick up Chase. Carl claimed he was talking to him the whole ride back, telling him how college life was going and shit. Stroking his horns, mentioning how he missed him, and wanting him back as a roommate. You know, all the shit Chase never actually said after Carl dropped out. The fucker barely even responded to his messages. He could have sworn when he swerved off the road and struck the pole he killed Chase, crushed somehow at impact. He wouldn't stop shaking. I made a joke that I might have helped him bury the body. I threw up later thinking about it. Yeah, the Ram is looking at me now with those really big, sad eyes. I've never seen him like this, sober and fully fucking aware of really bad shit. Usually the moment shit starts getting remotely bad, he tokes till his mind melts the horrors away, as he calls it. There's none of that shit here, that's for certain. I never liked how it made me feel, and Daxton's too nerdy to know any pot dealers. This is going to sound really nuts, but that thing TJ is describing with the electric socket face, it was chasing me that night, man. I saw it, exactly how TJ described. That's how it moved. I thought I had outrun it, but then it was in the car with me where I thought Chase was, and I hit the fucking pole, man. Where Chase was? Leo looks at Carl with raised eyebrows. I let out a puff of exasperated air. You were tripping balls on acid. I looked to the rest of the group. That's why he thought he was with Chase. Leo's expression froze. You've done acid, Carl? Yeah, I know how it sounds. I thought it seemed familiar earlier when TJ was describing it at City Hall, but that face, it was just like an outlet. Daxton's nodding along with everything Carl says. Flynn, I literally was just telling you about this shit. I saw it in my dream, in the water. It's the second time I've seen it in 2 days. I recognize it too. Not in the dream or because of drugs, though. She looks over at TJ, who appears even more frightened with the confession from those around him. When I was younger, well, much younger, I sometimes saw it during times I was really angry or sad. It's the closest thing I've ever had to what my mother described as a spiritual experience. When I told her about it, she told me it sounded a lot like a Wendigo. What? Leo crosses his arms firmly over his chest, the wolf having been the last one who was still actually eating dinner. Guys, I understand the stress of all this, yeah? But seriously, this is too much. Jenna, you're pragmatic and all that, and to see you going off like this has me awfully concerned. This isn't one of your old VHS horror movie nights. He looks to me now, his voice stern and steady. Sydney is not some zombie thing rising from the lake to get revenge on us during spring break. He was just a kid, and he died, and we need to move on. Forget, forgive, I don't give a damn really. He brings his heavy paw to his face, rubbing at the space between his eyes. His nose is starting to bleed, probably cracking from how dehumidified I keep it in here. I want to believe what he's saying. I'm ready to call all these fuckers out on their bullshit. But at the same time, the coincidence of all of this is just too much. TJ's tough to read now, but I don't doubt the sincerity of Carl and Jenna or even Daxton, and they believe what they're saying. I just want the truth. That's all I want. I sigh. I think we should talk to my aunt. Why your aunt? She's good with this sort of shit. I pause. Well, I don't know what this is that's happening, but fuck, I don't know what else to do. Leo just frowns at me. I'm guessing you're wanting to go now, huh? You can go home if you want. I know it's tempting now that Chase isn't here for you to stalk. You're right partially. I'm really wanting to talk to Chase alone about all this, the lying and stuff. He shrugs. Who knows, maybe he's seen this Wendigo too. Do you have a spare gun I can borrow? Jesus, is this really what it's coming to? I look at Leo for a long moment. Behind the ram. He's been sort of a gun nut lately, which is really strange noting how against them he was in high school. You licensed? Yep, open carry. I know what I'm doing. That's not saying much, noting our state has the most lax weapon license standards in the nation. That's typical Jenna for you. Reality's going out the window, but she's still there, thrusting some social-political bullet point in the middle of it. All my shit's licensed for me, and me alone. Leo clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth. Bah, this isn't the time for your by-the-book stuff. I'm grabbing one of your flashlights. I'll be in the van. He opens the front door and leaves. I guess we're going. Seems so. Carl and Daxton look at each other. I'm not feeling really good. If you're gonna puke, do it on Dax's side of the sink. The salamander, who's already looking unnerved, somehow manages to frown even more. Jenna strokes the lynx's arms, muttering something that I can't quite catch. For a split second, a glimmer of a sad smile appears on his face. It diminishes quickly, but I guess I'm glad TJ's not completely broken. The group begins to head out, leaving their plates and cups on the counter. I linger a bit, catching Jenna as she's wiping her paws off the dish towel. Hey. Yeah? You wanted to tell me something? She gives me a look like she doesn't know what I'm talking about. She pauses, then nods as if remembering something. I'm happy for you and Carl. Her tone is idle, her mind seemingly focused elsewhere. If he's going to explore his sexuality, it's good that it's with someone he knows and trusts, who's, experienced. What? I cross my arms tightly over my chest, squinting down at her. How the fuck would she know I'm experienced? We ain't a thing. Yes, you weren't ever much for having things in general. She looks out the window, her expression kind of like a mix of distant and troubled. Everyone's filling into the van except Daxton, who's holding up his phone to the sky, trying to get service, I guess. As I open my mouth to rebut, she holds up her paw. It's not what I wanted to talk to you about, and I suppose current matters are... She sighs. More pressing than would be appropriate to delay for this conversation. Her demeanor seems to shift, her posture not as full of holier-than-thou air than she usually seems to be hell-bent on putting out. I can see Leo behind the wheel now, surely getting angsty. Yeah, Leo looks like he's about to pop a hemorrhoid already. I just wanted you to know I understand your concerns more clearly. I grunt. Yeah, well, hopefully my aunt can help me understand yours. I thumb back towards the electric socket. Jenna looks at it, purses her lips and scowls. I can't tell if she's just frowning at herself at this point. When all logic's gone out the fucking window, her shtick of being the rational mind here is certainly at a challenge. With a small nod, she turns, heading out with the rest. I sigh, pulling back the lever of my repeater and watching the clip extend outward. I remember to load it after all. Here's hoping I don't need it. I push it back in and head outside. Leo's quiet as he drives, occasionally checking the rearview mirror. Everyone else is pretty silent too. It's weird being in a car with Carl and him just sitting there quietly, not staring at his phone or anything. It's like he doesn't know what to look at and is stuck pondering his own thoughts for a change. I look back at Jenna, who's monitoring her phone for any sign that the signal will stay consistent enough to get a message out. It's hard to believe it, but she was actually trying to apologize earlier. In her own weird way, of course. Part of me wanted to say I was sorry for what I said at the river about how she treats her family, but that would be lying. I'm not sorry for what I said, but I can tell when something hit hard and hurt more than I'm happy with. People dance around shit all the time when so much of this bullshit could have been avoided if people were just honest with each other. I roll down the window and prop my knees up out the dash, craning my neck some to peer at TJ in the mirror. He knows I'm watching him. Hell, I think everyone's watching him. Even with Socket Man as a cover story, him keeping silent about all this for so long is just cruel. Did he truly think not mentioning the fur color of the person in the water with Sydney was for the best? Maybe he thought he could avoid a situation like this, our group getting shattered. Well, our group is fucked up now. No way in hell I want to hang out with anyone but Carl after this shit. And it wasn't like it was all peaches and gravy these past few years anyways. Chase and TJ and Jenna haven't so much as texted me since they left college. And Leo. He used to visit me back at the warehouse when I packed freight. We fucked a couple of times, but he seemed to get more and more disgusted with the arrangement. I couldn't tell if it was with me or him, but it was awkward as hell. I mean, I'm not the sentimental type, but when you're being screwed by somebody and they glance away every time you look at them, it makes you feel like shit. I eventually had enough. I told him I wasn't his fucking otter and to get a fleshlight like the rest of us. He cut me out of his life right then and there, even stopped visiting Carl. It's shitty watching somebody who was once a social butterfly turn into an absolute recluse. For the first part of the week, he was trying so hard to act like his old self, that nothing had changed. We were fags and weirdos in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. Of course, we stuck together at first. But, as Carl says, shit's broke. Now, as we make the turn off onto Margaret Street, I spot the familiar dust-covered plastic flamingos that adorn Auntie's yard. The manufactured house was built back in the 80s and still dons this sort of faded turquoise color scheme. She added these pink diamond-shaped bathroom tiles all around the roof's edge a couple years ago too. For Halloween and Christmas, she hangs up neon-colored tube lightings, and I swear you can see her house lit up from miles away. Not entirely sure what the aesthetic she's going for. Carl called it vintage trailer trash once, and I guess that's fitting enough. Leo slows the van some as we approach. I don't see any lights on, no cars in the driveway. She can't have parked in the garage. Shit's still packed full of boxes of Uncle's stuff. Guys? The salamander pokes the glass at the window next to him, pointing at something across the street. That's, Karen's place, right? Our old bus driver. It looks like somebody broke in. Is that recent? The colored glass on the front door is shattered. Piles of Technicolor shards are splayed across the concrete porch. Yeah, very, as in, it wasn't like this when I stopped by this morning. People are taking advantage of the emergency services being out. I hope she's okay. Her car's not here either. They broke her statue too. The little sombrero Chihuahua man statue she had next to the door is completely shattered. It's smashed into 100 pieces. The wooden Bienvenido sign that hangs around its neck is split in half and laying in the dirt. Good, Jenna mumbles. I clutch my rifle a little tighter, trying to see if there's any movements going on inside the house. It's completely still beyond the light swaying of pink lace curtains from the breeze outside. It's still probably best we speak with the mayor. Perhaps what's going on? She'd probably return to City Hall? My heart drops in my chest. Yeah, that makes sense. Hopefully the crazy guy is gone by now. I don't know, she doesn't usually work Saturdays. Jenna raises an eyebrow at me. Well, this is quite a Saturday, Flynn. Leo sighs, putting the van into gear. City Hall it is. It's well into the night by the time we pull into the gravel parking lot. Sure enough, Auntie's teal hatchback Jeep is parked by the side of the building. Daxton squints at it. then points. Ad Astra bumper sticker. On the chrome bumper, there's a decal of what I guess is the silhouette of Captain Amicus with some sort of insect on his face. In gold, spacey font, it reads, "These things are harmless, don't worry." I didn't know your aunt was cool. She's not. I grumble idly, my mind racing as I try to think of a distraction to keep everyone away outside. Everyone but Carl and I are already getting out of the van. The Ram gives me a nervous look before nodding at me and speaking up. "Dudes, wait a second." "What?" Leo's tone is curt as he looks back at the Ram, who's sluggishly pulling himself outside. I feel like I'm gonna be sick. Now? It's all the freeze-dried ice cream. It's so shitty. I can't handle it. Carl begins to make retching sounds and Jenna quickly covers her ears. Oh god, Carl. Ugh, please don't throw up in my van, yeah? Guys? Carl continues to make some of the most visceral, gut-wrenching upping sounds I've ever heard. They practically sound wet. Guys? I turn and see what TJ is trying to get our attention for. A whole bunch of cars are driving down the road in our direction, like a convoy. I recognize the one in front. It's Mark and his SUV. He works here at City Hall. They start to pull into the parking lot. It quickly fills up to the point where folks are starting to park on the road. What's going on? There's my chance. That's Mark. Maybe he'll have some answers. I need to head inside real quick. I'll be right back. Jenna nods slightly, watching what looks like a bunch of townsfolk get out of their cars in front of us. I pass the still hunched over Carl and give him a squeeze on the shoulder. Thanks. I feel like I'm actually going to puke now after that. Don't. I head inside. It's quiet when I enter, though I can hear the subtle sounds of shuffling papers coming from down the hall. I'm starting to feel this strange sort of pang in my head, like someone's pressing an ice pack to the front of my skull. Maybe it's because I'm nervous. Regardless, here I go. I walk lightly, peering around the corner into Auntie's office. Her fingers flick along various pages within a manila folder, her tropical flower print scarf swaying with every movement. I watch her, illuminated only by the soft glow of the moonlight outside. I'm wrought with an uneasy sort of feeling where I can't tell if she actually knows that I'm here or not, or whether she cares. It's a familiar feeling, but never one I quite got used to. There's a hell of a lot of ruckus outside. You looking for something? Anything of substantial regarding the whole hysteria business? She speaks plainly. What? I'll tell you in a second. Is Mark here yet? She cranes her neck to peer out the tiny slit window in the corner of her office. Yet, there's not much of a view other than the side of the sagebrush. I saw him pulling up in his SUV outside with like a whole convoy of folks following him. This about Clint? She looks up, seeming to notice my repeater for the first time. Her brow furrows. You know, under any other circumstances, I'd give you a chewing out for bringing that inside. I did hear he's been making a hell of a scene around town, waving a gun around. Figured it was a meth binge, until I saw Dale doing the same thing. Diner Dale? That fucking otter is kind of a softie, ain't he? You don't think it's got to do with his painkiller addiction. I popped 4 of the pills he takes earlier, you know, for the aches. It ain't that sort of thing to put ya in a gunfighting mood. I nod. Despite everything she's telling me, I can't really focus on it. I keep looking back towards the closed reading room door behind me. Fuck, might as well just get it over with. I take a deep breath. Did you let Chase out? What? She seems confused at the sudden change of topic. Chase? Leo's little lover boy? Former lover boy. He hasn't been pounding on the door to get out? Boy, what are you talking about? I haven't seen him since you brought him here and the Hendricks boy to City Hall the other afternoon. I turn, moving out to the hallway and unlocking the reading room door. I always thought it was weird that it had a lock facing the hall, though I think Auntie mentioned there used to be a back exit through there. What the hell? Flynn, what did you do? I ignore my auntie's exasperated voice as I push open the door, stepping into the dark room. It's mustier than the skunk's ass in here, with all the rain damage. I can practically feel the mildew and mold on my toes as I run my hands along the wall. Eventually, I find the light switch. Chase? He's not in here? Carl's voice takes me by surprise, the ram standing slightly behind me. And of course, Daxton's there too, the salamander gawping at the interior like he's in some sort of museum. I can't believe you locked up Chase. Like, Do city clerks have the authority to do that? Not unless he's, archiving him. You told him? I glare down at the ram, who quickly throws up the flat of his paws defensively. He's your roommate, dude. Come on. It's not like he's part of the old group anyway. Fortunately, like Carl said, I don't see the rest of the gang. Carl notices me peering past them and speaks up. They're, talking to Mark outside. It's about time he showed up. Hi, Mayor. Hi. Two of them wave awkwardly. Auntie looks at both of them with a sort of perplexed frown. Hello, y'all. She responds abruptly, quickly looking back to me. Now, Flynn, just give me a sec. He's still gotta be in here. I see a stained blue V-neck shirt lying on the ground of the corner by the old bookshelf. Chase! Still no response. It's then that I notice that something's moving on his shirt, like little specks that seem to be gathered in the folds of the fabric. Oh, fuck me! I hold out my arm across the doorway, pushing Carl and Daxton back. Dude, what? Auntie, did Mark set off those bug bombs after work on Monday like I asked? I'm assuming by your tone that he did not. They hatched. Oh, goodness! Can we not play the pronoun game right now? What are you talking about? I see the unused can sitting knocked over on the corner. Stay back, Black Widows. I lower my arm and walk over to it, quickly popping the top and watching the fogger begin to mist the foul-smelling fumigation spray into the air. The effect is near instant. The skittering pattern on the little spider legs begin to grow more erratic. I watch as the adult one on Chase's shirt clambers on the top of an increasingly still pile of little spiders. It just sits there, writhing. I can feel something on my foot too, but my scales are too thick for it to be of any threat to me. I hear Carl mutter behind me. I take back what I said. You do have balls. Excuse me? Sorry, Mayor Moore. Boys, I do not have time for this. As I look past the shelves, I see a big lump of fur curled up in the corner under one of the old metal desks. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. I dash over, grabbing at the otter's scruff and yanking his ass out of there. He's surprisingly light, and I realize I've never picked him up before. Oh damn, is he okay? Water, get me water. There's some in the mini fridge, I'll get it. As I pull him into better light, he looks like absolute shit. His lips are chapped bloody, and the whites of his eyes are bloodshot. There's also a dribble of vomit on the floor, which I have the misfortune of stepping in. Vomit and spiders. Fucking great. Chase, wake the fuck up. I give his face a hard slap. Carl winces. The otter wheezes raspily, letting out a kind of low moan. Man, he's terrified of spiders. I know. Karma, right? The ram speaks in an uneasy tone, visibly uncomfortable at seeing Chase like this. Yeah, maybe. Next thing I know, Auntie's handing me a bottle of water, bringing it to his lips. Drink, you stupid idiot. If this was a prank of yours, it ain't a real gut buster, Flynn. Move over, you're gonna drown him. I feel a weird tinge in the back of my neck. Reluctantly, I step aside. I look at Chase, and part of me hopes he never wakes up. And I feel sick. Why is he just in his britches? I blink, glancing down and getting an eyeful of Chase's briefs. You didn't undress him before you shoved him in there, right? Or was this part of it? Jesus fuck, no, God no. I didn't do that. Daxton gives me a dubious look before shifting his concerned gaze back to the otter. Auntie, meanwhile, is propping his head up on a couple of office chair cushions, quickly urging the otter to drink as she wets his lips. They part for a moment, and Chase complies enough to get a swallow down. Again, part of me breathes a sigh of relief, but the other half of me seems still filled with anger and dread. Don't wake up. Daxton crouches down beside him, pulling back some of the fur around his collarbone and showing the swelling red skin beneath. Must have been where he got bit, and of course, 911 ain't working. Carl chuckles nervously. I guess it's, too late to suck the venom out, right? You know, that doesn't actually work. It's just dumb old westerns that made people believe that crap. Well, I had a great-grandpa or great-great-grandpa who died of a spider bite. I mean, I think it was a tarantula or something. Tarantulas aren't that venomous. He was old as hell, and there might have been like a fuckload of them. I don't know. Boys, this is real, reassuring talk, but could one of y'all get one of them first aid kits from the bathrooms? It's just around the corner. Daxton stands up again and nods, heading off. Chase's eyes are fluttering a bit now. Maybe he's having a seizure or dreaming something really crazy. I can't tell. The salamander returns, clutching the thick metal case that looks like it's from the 90s. Auntie takes it, opening it up and grabbing what she needs like she's done this hundreds of times before. She applies the cold water to a piece of cloth and presses it against the spot near Chase's neck where the bite is. Once it's damp, she takes an old tube of antibiotic cream and squeezes out a quarter of the contents on the bite spot and then lathers it in. Chase winces, letting out a quiet cry. Stop. His voice is high-pitched and kind of pathetic, like a child's. Oh, don't whine, you're a big boy. I'd be whining if I was in his position. It's kinda fitting, like Carl said, ain't it though? He looks at me as if trying to gauge my expression. I'm managing to keep pretty stone-faced, despite everything. If he did what y'all are saying he did, I can tell that weird distance Carl and I are keeping from him, despite his sorry state, is unnerving the salamander. Just a couple hours ago, it was all figured we were old friends and such. Chase begins to sit up, and it's like my heart lurches. I get that feeling in my skull again, like my brain freezes. No. No. Only Carl seems to notice as I clutch my temple, the ram giving me a nervous, concerned look. Finally, Chase looks to me. Flynn? Again, with childlike voice. It's like he's taunting me. I suck in my lips. What the fuck am I supposed to say? I want to slap him again. I want the fucking truth. But he looks fucking pathetic. Everything's stiff. No kidding, you're rolled in darn Black Widow nest, kid. More interesting things to add to your little movie you're making of our fair town. Auntie sighs. I'm worried you'll have some more content here in a bit. What? What's... Ow! He seethes through his teeth as he clutches at his neck. What's going on? He reminds me of TJ, like he's about to start crying at a moment's notice or something. I haven't seen him like this in a long time. Carl's gaze shifts to the floor. I feel weird. Are you okay? Everything hurts, but it feels different. It's like this isn't a dream. It's not? I look to Auntie. He's gonna be fine, right? These bites can be real painful. It could have been nastier with a brown recluse, but it still ain't gonna be fun. I'd get him some professional help if I were you. If that's possible. I'm not gonna die? Chase peeps up, still clutching at his neck. Unless you're an infant, elderly, or allergic, it's doubtful. The otter closes his eyes, letting out a long exhale. Meanwhile, Auntie stands up, heading towards the door. I need to speak with Mark and see what he found. I'll be outside. Thanks. As she leaves, I can hear the rumble of engines and hushed murmurs from a small crowd. Then the door shuts and it's quiet again. What's wrong with you, Chase? I try to keep my voice steady, though my vocal cords shrill a bit as I say his name. I practiced for years to get rid of the girly gay tinge my voice had after puberty, but times like this I can't really hide it. Are you like a fucking sociopath or something? Are you getting off on this? You just gonna go home and come thinking about all the pain you caused? Daxton flinches. I can tell he wants to step into Chase's defense. Chase says nothing. I can understand screwing me over, you know. I originally figured you didn't give two shits about Sydney or what happened to him. You just wanted my dick and that's fine. You followed me back to the river because that's all you wanted. Leo and the rest of your friends be damned. But fuck, it was just so much worse. Just admit it, just say the words. No. What? Chase's arms and legs shake as he sits on the floor, craning his neck to look up at me. You're saying you didn't do it, despite what TJ said? He looks towards the door. You're an asshole, Flynn. He speaks, his voice still having that squeaky prepubescent Candace to it. But Sydney was a freaking evil idiot, and I'm glad he died. You're glad you killed him? I'm glad he died. That's no secret. Daxton, looking 2 parts tense and awkward, steps further away from the otter. Chase's eyes begin to well up. He looks so weak, but brimming with emotions. The salamander mutters something about checking out the commotion outside and heads outward. The noise from the parking lot is getting louder. I hadn't really noticed. Someone shouts something about something, and I hear someone else speaking quickly, trying to calm them away. A long silence follows. Carl's like a statue beside the desk, unmoving, not daring to risk drawing attention to himself. Those last 6 months before it happened, it wasn't him anymore. Or at least, not fully him. What do you mean? Do you remember that one time he got Toby that ice cream cone from the corner shop in Peyton? The cactus-themed place that had that agave ice cream? I pause. It's such a weirdly specific thing that it takes me a moment to recall. It's also fucking strange hearing Chase call TJ Toby again. He teased him the whole car ride up, and he was upset like usual. Sydney bought him that strawberry waffle cone scoop, the one with the pointy end. He felt guilty, I think, for a while. Toby was talking about Sunday school or something, and Sydney just took the cone and started trying to stab with the pointy end. It was crushed in on itself, but he wouldn't stop, like he was super into it. Then he just acted like he was so scared, not of getting punished or anything, but like, just in general, you know? I remember that. The shop manager was yelling at him and he looked terrified. I told him not to worry about the townies. My teenage self thought it was hilarious. Do you remember the moment he decided to do that? The look on his face? It was like a... Chase clutches at his neck some more, the otter clenching his eyes shut. A thing was in front of him. Chase gesticulates in front of his head, making a swirling motion before letting both of his arms drop limply to the ground. Jesus. It's like I just woke up from a really long dream, a really bad dream. I haven't been myself in so freaking long. Out of the corner of my vision, I can see Carl looking at me. The same shit that happened to Sydney after what happened to you? But fuck, I didn't see you do any of that shit until this week. I don't know, I had a bad dream at first. Sometimes I'd see stuff from the dreams in the real world. Kinda just numbed myself to it. And Leo helped me keep my mind off of things, I guess. He looks over to Carl. Then I went to college, and it wasn't so bad. I stopped taking my medications and things felt a little bit better, I guess. Not great. I was still all hollow, but at least I wasn't seeing the demented crap at the end of the bed anymore. Chase takes a drink from the water bottle, cringing at the pain from each gulp. I don't know what to say. I was beginning to think I was going nuts, like I was seeing some shit that wasn't real, but hearing him talk about it out loud? Just like Sydney, that weird look he'd have before looking upset or scared, or doing some really heinous shit. And Chase was doing it while ordering fucking brunch. I'm sorry. Something's wrong with me, or was. I don't know. Guess, we can add that to the checklist of things to ask your aunt about. Chase begins to stand up groggily. What? The front door is pushed open, Jenna standing in the doorway. Guys, you should get out here. She swats Chase, steadying himself against the desk, her eyes widening and her ears flick back momentarily. Oh, Chase, you're here. And where are your clothes? There's spiders in them, Carl mutters. Okay, just get out here. Jenna hits back out. Chase pulls himself off the desk, beginning to walk forward like a zombie from one of those old VHS films we used to watch. Whoa, man. Don't you have like some spare touristy shirts and stuff around here somewhere? Do you seriously think Echo gets enough tourists to justify merchandise? I just need to get back to the motel. Clinic first. The otter stumbles a bit, and though with some hesitation, Carl and I take him each by the shoulder and help him out the door. I make sure to grab my rifle, though. You still didn't answer my question. Chase says nothing. And that's where I'm gonna leave it for today. Because I think that the next episode might be the last one. Yeah, I think it is. So I'm gonna leave it out at that for now. So I guess after Chase's little revelation, we can sort of assume that something takes over the people of the town. And after what happened with Sydney's dad, something took over Sydney, which caused him to act kind of strange from time to time. And right before Sydney died, something took over Chase, causing him to behave strangely. But he, I guess, managed it a little better. Well, quote unquote better. But yeah. I wonder what's gonna happen next, though. Well, anyways, well, thank you for watching/listening, and if you want to play Echo, Route 65, or any of the other Echo Project stories, you can find the links in the description and on Itch.io, or you can go support them on Patreon to get like earlier builds of the games. And the only one that's actually left to be finished is Jenna's Route. And I don't know if by the time I finish this, if it will be done. And I don't know if I will just go over to Jenna's Route and just, do up as much as I can, or if I'm just going to wait until it's completely done before I upload it to YouTube. But we'll see. Anyways, yeah. Well, we'll see you next time, and bye-bye.